everyone, buckle up for today's adventure because we're going to go and watch the Toronto Airshow, where we're going to specifically catch the US Navy's Blue Angels and the Canadian Snowbirds. If you've never been to an air show, I would highly recommend you go and check it out. It's without a doubt one of the most exhilarating experiences you would ever witness and gives you a great appreciation of what pilots actually do. Living in downtown Toronto actually has a lot of benefits, but mostly we focus on things that don't really work in our favor, such as living in really small condos and traffic. But one of the biggest perks of living in the city is you can get to a lot of places by just either walking, biking, or even taking public transport. It just took us about 30 minutes to cycle from where we live to go and watch the air show. This video is broken down into two parts. The first one focuses mostly on the Blue Angels, whereas the second part takes into account all the other flight demonstrations that we have, including the most impressive one where an 81-year-old pilot is performing for the last time, and that's really inspiring, and I'll get more details into that in the next video. This is the fourth time that I've been able to go to an air show. All my previous experiences have been in Yelahanka Air Base from Bangalore, India. That was really amazing because you actually get to the Air Force base to check this out. But I'm super excited about seeing how it goes in Toronto because the location is fantastic. You sit by the waterfront, and because it's a long weekend, a lot of people have actually made a picnic experience out of this where you've got food and drinks and family and friends getting together, and some of them are barbecuing as well. I don't have the patience to do all of that. I'm just focused on the planes and their performance mostly. So I hope you enjoy the footage. A lot of the B-roll footage that I've included in this video is not what I've recorded, and it's not even in Toronto. I'll share a link in the description of the YouTuber who has those videos, so go and check it out. It's really cool. It gives you a first person's view of how it looks like from inside the aircraft. Here's some fun facts of the Blue Angels. It's the second oldest flight demonstration team. They fly the F-18 Super Hornets. It's a different variant that they have at the moment. And while most air forces have their own flight demonstration teams, the US is the only one where the American Air Force has its own demonstration team called the Thunderbirds, and the Navy is what's called as the Blue Angels. I mean, it's not surprising considering the Americans spend the most amount on military defense budget. But there's a huge, tremendous amount of respect and admiration to what these folks do. I mean, it's not just limited to this flight demonstration team. Already, like take any professional armed forces, and the amount of dedication, training, and resources that they put into showcasing their best front just truly shows how professional they are and how seriously they take their craft. And it's just not the pilots that we should be focusing on. Right? There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes with the flight maintenance engineers and the logistics and the transportation as well. In fact, the US Navy in fact highlights this aspect during the demonstration, where their C-130 Hercules, which is also called as the Fat Albert, is the one that starts off the show initially, and later on it's the fighter jets that come into picture. And as much as we would all like fighter planes that are loud and fast and that bring that exhilaration, you've got to understand from a pilot's perspective and from a skills perspective, it is just as challenging, or if not even more skillful, when you see those prop planes perform acrobatic maneuvers, because they just don't have that kind of speed on their side to be able to make those quick changes and maneuvers. But once again, I think it's really ridiculous to make comparisons from one over the other. It's just not watching what these guys do, but the roar of those jet engines and the sort of earth-shattering feeling that you get in your body. Like imagine if you're at the front of a rock concert, like amplify that by 5 or 10 times. That's the sort of experience it is to just hear and watch these jets perform. It's really amazing. I would highly recommend anyone, if you're able to check it out, this is a must-have experience. The big difference that I found between the Blue Angels and the Canadian Snowbirds is I would like to think of it as this analogy. Like if you want to think of a rock concert, I would think that's what the Blue Angels were. They were loud, they were brash. It was more in your face. Whereas the Canadian Birds was a lot more graceful. It's similar to what the Indian Air Force has in terms of the Surya Kirans. Like it's very graceful. The movement is synchronized. It seems more harmonic in nature, and they have a lot more planes as well. Normally they perform with 9 planes, but this year they had just 8 aircrafts. I'm not quite sure why the ninth aircraft wasn't in the show. I do know that a couple of years ago there was a crash between 2 aircrafts, and one of the pilots lost their lives. It could be because of that, but I'm really glad we can watch them every single year. So I'll be looking forward to that. There was one really cool shot of the F-18 where you can actually see the air compress when it made a really close flyby on the water. Unfortunately, I didn't catch that on video. I'll see if there's a picture from Instagram that I can post here. But it was probably one of the coolest things ever. And in a way, I'm glad I wasn't too focused on recording that video, because it was just amazing to watch it in person. I'm going to post a couple of YouTube channel links that have covered the entire air show, and a few Instagram handles as well, so you can go and check it out after this video. While living in Canada has its own challenges, and sometimes they can get really frustrating and demotivating, I think events such as this really brings into a different perspective of how good life can be if it wasn't for these soaring high costs of living. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for part 2 where I'm going to be uploading more footage, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, take care.